Okay, we've called the meeting to order, constituting a quorum. So first item we have on our agenda today is general discussion and hear statements from citizens. Any general discussion? Okay, if there's nothing there, then the next, what I would like to announce is the next meeting be July 19th. So please mark that on your calendar. And before we get any farther along on the general discussion, are you guys going to be able to go out to Wilson today?
Sure. Okay. No, I can't. I've got a 1:15.
So we won't even have a quorum for the workshop. Not that we have to have one, but
Yeah.
with only two board members.
No, we do have to have a quorum.
Huh?
We would have to have a quorum for the workshop.
I didn't think you had to have a quorum for
Any-
workshops.
any-
Hey, there's just not mandatory attendance.
Correct.
Okay. All righty, the next item on the agenda is approved minutes from the regular meeting held May 17th, 2023.
Yeah, they look fine. I like to approve the minutes. I move to approve the minutes from last meeting.
And I second it if I wasn't here on the last meeting. I don't know if I can.
Technically, I don't think so, but I guess I can.
Yeah.
So I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
We got task behind us. We'll go to item number 3 on the agenda. Receive Parks and Recreation's operation and maintenance report from the Director of Public Works. So I guess that's going to be you today, Eddie.
Yes, sir. The parks, we do the inspection forms. We've done pretty extensive maintenance on a lot of the playscapes. They had some rust on them and we're taking care of that problem. And we also incorporated the splash pads as part of a park inspection. So I think you can see that online that we're also inspecting the splash pads and doing any maintenance that needs to happen on them. In fact, we had a complaint right before the season that some of the drains were collapsed at the one at Bayfront, and we repaired those. And other than that, all the other playscapes and stuff like that seem to be up to par pretty good. We've also, we've added some benches. We put a memorial bench down by the splash pad at Bayfront. We installed that last week, and so I think that's about it.
There's another bench you put somewhere, right?
Which one?
I remember reading in one of the weekly reports about putting a bench at, Bayfront.
We installed one at Bayfront
Okay,
last week.
yeah, where was that put?
It was put facing the water, right real close to the splash pad on the walking trail, by the
Okay,
Confederate Memorial when you're walking around right there. And we've got some more
you guys made some more picnic tables.
what now?
Didn't you put together some more picnic tables?
Yeah, in fact, I think this is changing the subject a little bit, but we needed an excessive amount of picnic tables for the Juneteenth celebration. So we put together all the picnic tables that we had purchased a while back, and we were putting it was like a clear coat on these tables, But I'd noticed that the clear coat that we were using, we were still getting some mold months afterwards. And so we started using a stain, it's a stain varnish. And we're gonna see how that works out as far as helping the wood to where it's not splitting and everything. And typically we're gonna be changing all the picnic tables. We've got a lot right now. In fact, there's about 5 of them right now that we're pulling out of Lighthouse Beach that were metal, that they've exceeded their time. And in fact, the first 7 or 8 cabanas, the picnic tables we built use at a Juneteenth celebration. We're incorporating those down at Lighthouse Beach now to get rid of the metal ones. So we, because the metal ones just aren't lasting, you know. And so I'm hoping these will last a lot longer. And we've got some more benches, and I need to get up with Jody. We've got a few more trash cans at the shop that if you'll spot me out some locations, there's a trash cans like we put right there by the water fountain at Bayfront. We've got a few more of those. If you give me some locations, we'll get those in. Anything else on that situation?
That's all. I assume that covers everything you wanted to say about the operations and maintenance report on behalf of the director of public. Item 4, you kind of already covered with the talking about the inspection reports. So that puts us to item 5, is receive update on park assignments. So who goes first this time?
Adams Park it's still looking good. Why that? Well, that city work going on around the park seems to be taking a while, but I guess, you know, yeah, I know, it's not much traffic over there now because a lot of it's still blocked off a little bit, but the park itself looks good. No, commodes, bathrooms, everything looked good.
Okay, Bill.
Same with me. I was at Wilson this morning. I saw Eddie over there. I talked to him and looks good. I mean, even with not much rain, everything's still there. We're cutting. While I was checking it out this morning, they're mowing and everything. I was talking to him about some signs. I said, maybe put some signs on each field, like we were talking about that this morning, like field 1, field 2, field 3. Yeah, minor stuff like that I like to do, but
We talked, me and Cindy and Wayne, we talked about that a while back, and Cindy's gonna make some signs so we can put on the ball fields. And that way, you know, it's got a name like softball field number 1, baseball field. And so I'll get Cindy to make up some signs and we'll put them up on the fences. You know, I don't know if y'all go down there very much, but you know, that one sign that was up there that was like 2019 girls softball thing. That sign was pretty deteriorated.
Right.
We had to take it down because the wood was rotting on it. And so we've got that at our shop and we're gonna give it back to the organization. But yeah, it was in dire need of repair. So yeah, we took care of that one.
other than that, Wilson Park, minor little stuff like that, and everything looks good. Lighthouse Beach, I went through there earlier, right after. It's packed. I didn't see nothing out of ordinary. I saw the new sign coming in and I went and checked out the mural. I like the mural, looked really good.
Yeah, I think he's got, I think that's on,
To go, yeah. But
he's got 3 letters to go.
And now Wilson, I like that mural right there, Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Sports theme would look really good right there.
Yeah, I know it, it would. You know, I also, down at, you know, at City Park, you know, we just repainted both of those bathrooms and, I think, in fact, I got a call from Wendy. She's with the United Way. And today they're working on the, what do you call it?
The Born Learning Trail.
Yeah. The learning trail, they're gonna do some more painting on the sidewalk over there, I guess today, so, and there's also a couple more signs that, have to go up over there too, so.
Be nice and hot and dry for them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's all I got on those two parts.
Okay.
I drove by Claret Park and it looks very good. And I saw that you reported last time that trash pile had gotten picked
Yeah.
up. So that does look better. It's too bad the vacant lot next door doesn't look better.
Oh, I know it.
Well, they're building a couple, I don't know if it's the immediate adjacent lot, but just down to it, they're building a couple duplexes, I think. They broke ground, so hopefully it'll build out soon.
Looks like they're getting prepared to build another structure on that street.
Yeah.
So it's, of course, that's a contractor, but
Also, now that you mentioned Clarion, they poured a new sidewalk there. And where the forms were, there was pretty substantial dirt missing, And so I got up with Derek and Monday and because that came up on our park inspection that, hey, there's a big ditch right by the new sidewalk. And so I got up with Derek and he was gonna have the contractor fill in the little ruts where the sign was, or where the sidewalk goes. Instead of, because I didn't know if it was gonna fall on maintenance or the contractor should have done it. And he said, no, he was gonna get the contractor to do that. And I'm hoping it's done by now.
yeah. Well, when I just drove by there, they were scraping out where they're gonna be putting a foundation. So there's a lot of dirt that's gonna have to go somewhere for.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna
And
use.
and it's the same contractor, so.
Yeah, so he's gonna have plenty of, now I'm sure it's gumbo, but.
Oh, yeah. Grass will grow over it eventually.
Little dirt, that's that's okay. All right, let's see, drove through Bayfront and the park really looks good. Of course, it was all prepped and ready for the Juneteenth
Oh, yeah.
weekend stuff. And I understand that at one point or another, the entire park was being utilized by that.
It was.
All the way except for the fishing pier.
Yeah.
It's the only facility at the park that wasn't being utilized
Mhm.
at some time or another.
I talked to Tanya, after Monday. And she said she had a real good turnout. There was no complaints on our behalf, that everything worked out real good. So
Yeah.
we like things like that. Keep all the people here in town rather than them going to Victoria or something,
Oh, it brought a lot of people into town too.
There was a lot of people there,
It was kind of interesting when I went down there on Saturday afternoon. Now they had some kind of a playground or playscape feature down there by the memorial.
Mhm.
And I didn't go down to that area, but for the most part, that area where they set up their stage and all that, it's about the same footprint as George Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, it was no bigger and none of the pavilions were being used at that moment,
Yeah.
but they had all been used prior for
Mhm.
at some point or another. So, they utilized a majority of the space at Bayfront, which they wouldn't have had at George Adams.
Right.
But the
Exactly.
biggest thing is that the parking was so much better
Oh, yeah.
being at Bayfront.
Yep.
And so,
Actually, boy, I live down there, so when it's at George Adams, I pretty much get to hear the whole thing from my house and
Oh, yeah,
couldn't hear nothing.
yeah.
I was in Lindy's backyard and we couldn't, I mean, I guess the wind was blowing the other way. We couldn't hear the sound from the festival at all.
Yeah,
So,
like Louis De La Garza lives over in Brook Hollow. And he said Saturday night, he could hear that music over there where he lives.
must have been the wind, and because I'm right there by it, and we couldn't hear, I was on the back porch, I couldn't hear nothing, so maybe the wind.
think it was that south wind.
Some kind of effect.
I think it was that south wind. I know, I live out by the country club and when the Continental would have a dance on Saturday night, you could hear that all over the place. You know, there's not very many trees.
Oh, you're going way back.
And I'd be sitting out there on the porch at 11 o'clock at night and you could hear the Continental boom, 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 you know?
Yeah. Well, given no other influences, you know, sound mostly travels up.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, every once in a while, you know, as the crow flies, the stadium is right at a mile from my house. But with that southerly or southeasterly wind, or southwesterly wind,
The whole play by play.
I can play over the PA from my house. So it's kind of funny the way it works. But anyway, the park looked good and pleased that it was utilized the way it was.
I did see the portlets, saying you could take the portlets out this week.
Pardon?
The portlets that they had for Juneteenth, there's still a few of them, 3 or 4 of them.
I think those.
Are those permanent? They may be.
I think Danny keeps them down there.
Oh, okay.
It's. And Bayfront Beats is fixing to start, and so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to, I drove by Baybauer and just kind of looked at it from the street and it looks good. And I know that it was utilized one night last week for wait, was it?
It was called Father's Laugh-a-thon.
Market and greet things.
Yeah, it was, I was involved in it. And
Yeah.
It was a good thing. There were a lot of people showed up.
Yeah,
And
I saw video of it,
yeah,
but they had some interesting things going on with
yeah,
dad.
it's good to see that park's being utilized for different events, you know. Tanya's real good about, it's a small park, but you know, it's versatile. You can use it for different things, you know.
Yeah, and you know, there are just a lot of little things down there that it fits the size of the anticipated crowd.
Exactly.
And of course, it brings at least some traffic and awareness to the down street and Main Street area, downtown and Main Street area. I'm glad that it's being utilized that way too. Okay, the next item on the agenda is now item 6. Receive financial status report on the Parks Recreation Department. Anything of significance there?
I mean, I'm not sure what is, what in their packet.
No, it's not correct. I just looked at, I text him, only the only thing correct is the beach operating, everything behind that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the looks like the public utilities fund back in here.
And yeah, if you put, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I was looking through it too, and I texted him, but he didn't answer me. But it's not, and I mean, the wastewater treatment and all of that is not. I think he got me and did he get me in Port Commission?
I don't know.
Halfway confused. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm not 100% sure. That's just me kind of looking.
As far as the beach goes, I mean. So,
Okay,
and we're bringing in revenue, RVs, not up to par with budget, but that was because we weren't able to get that thing open as early as we originally thought we were budgeting last year, so.
I was surprised at how many RVs are there in the summer though. Seemed like you'd want to be further north, but there are quite a few RVs there right now.
I mean, I don't know, do you know how, at Lighthouse Beach, most of the upper sites are full.
Like 1 through 8 or,
The ones, not the ones on the beach, but the others.
oh, the other one, yeah, that whole island where we lost power for a while. Pretty much that's all full with people that are working at the plant and
Saw some families there too this morning. It looked like there might be some.
yeah, I know 2 weekends ago, Bobby was the park host, he said the whole park was completely full. And it's in fact, I talked to him this morning and he said he had a couple cancel, but other people were moving in right behind it, you know. And so yeah, it seems to be working out real good.
Oh, yeah, and on that note, I'm thinking about it too, we did, I wasn't at the council meeting, but I'm assuming they approved this, nobody said they didn't. That we're gonna have a project where we're doing some dredging. Not the slip, but
Boat ramp,
not the boat ramp itself.
Right.
but
the channel.
A small channel that leaves from the basin, that keeps silting in. Then you get that dredged out a little bit. So low tide, yeah, it's really hard to get through there.
Mhm.
So that should be happening here pretty soon.
Also, you know, now that you mentioned that, we on the other side of the boat ramp, we've started doing some cleanup on that also. It's just gonna be an ongoing process.
Clean it up or mow it to where you can mow it better, or what's better?
Well, I'm working with Butch because there's some potholes and stuff over there. But I'm working with Butch on that because typically that's a good place to fish. Because you can go around there and you can throw right toward the causeway, so that would enhance more fishing areas. Because a lot of people, you know, I work in the parks department and people come when they see our truck, they pull up and they're from out of town and they want to know where the best bank fishing is, you know. Not everybody wants to fish off the pier, you know, so we'll tell them, well, hey, go over there, you know, and so that'd be another place that we can tell them to go, you know, once we get it cleaned up a little bit. Also, down at Lighthouse Beach, we had some erosion on right behind the bathrooms. It was from Hurricane Harvey where we had some ruts and stuff. And a week or so ago, I got together with the street department and they had some riprap they could put in there. And so we built it up a little bit where we had some sinkholes there that we had to pick. So it's going to make it a lot easier mowing it and stuff like that also.
I like that little radar sign they got out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. It's there full time.
Yeah.
My attention, I drove by it and went through the yards. First time I met it.
And it's got the little thing on top. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
that's good.
Okay. All righty, we've already kind of touched on this, but item 7 is receive status report on the mural project at Lighthouse Beach. So
Yeah, I think he's getting close to getting done and, yeah, once he gets done, then we'll settle up with the money, but it's not gonna be that much. We've already paid for materials. If I'm not mistaken, I think we agreed to like. Honestly, I think 2,500. For the fee, but anyway, we'll settle that up once he gets.
And once he does finish that, that's gonna be another one of our, we're gonna go and repaint that whole bathroom, you know, the other 3 walls. And we're gonna try to do something with flooring in there also.
Yeah, Eddie, I think when we look at that flooring,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk and see if there may be something we can put some. Something in there to. Add some grout or something to.
Right, fill in the low spots. Yeah,
Because we were gonna look at that a couple of years ago, but we didn't have money and then we just.
right.
Haven't done it yet, but.
Yeah.
Something to.
We'll put that on.
For a bit.
Yeah.
All righty. Nothing else to report on that. Okay.
It's about,
Item 8, consider and discuss 2023 capital improvements plan for the Parks Department. We were given a list of some things to consider last time, and I'd asked folks to try to kind of get a feel for their priority. Does anybody have anything that they see as priority from the Parks Board viewpoint about capital improvement?
I mean, it's been on the table for a while, the new restroom, of course, by the skate park and all that. I mean, that's normal.
Yeah. I'm fired up about the basketball idea down the road. That's not something we can do quickly. But I think that'll be
Basketball,
that'll be a huge.
Probably do the expansion.
Well, that's what I mean, that's what
But the covered one.
the covered part is.
Let's see, yeah. In fact, I was gonna reach out to BLS and just ask them if they could give me a budget figure, how much it would cost to build. Covered.
Do you see the cover, if they put it down at George Adams, would it be as extensive as what you got down at Bayfront? It wouldn't be quite that, it wouldn't be nearly that big.
But I don't know, I don't see putting, what do you mean?
Well, you've got the big cover at Bayfront where all the picnic in the middle where all the big.
No.
It wouldn't be quite that big.
Like what they've got in, I mean, it's
I haven't done it.
taller, it's a.
Oh, it's gotta be taller, yeah.
Yeah.
Size on it, I mean, I would think. Thinking is that, you know, at George Adams, we could expand. So it can have full court, but.
Yeah.
And you could put a cover later, but a cover right there, it's just. And I'm thinking the covered area would work better at Wilson.
Oh, okay,
Because
okay.
there's a place there where we're looking at a basketball
So you're thinking more basketball at Wilson than Adams then?
for the cover.
Oh, okay.
But at George Adams, still, it's not, there's room, it's not that big a deal to add, to double the size of the.
Yeah,
So you can have full court, it's just not covered. You
yeah.
have full court basketball and a covered one. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
that's kind of my,
Okay, in looking over this, I think the memo
There's
was,
more parking at Wilson too, so that would
Yeah.
help. Okay, that makes sense.
the memo was written by you, Jody, and one of the items that you had on there that I don't think belongs to the Parks Board at all is the parking improvements behind nautical landings, because nautical is part of the Port Commission.
it's gonna be, it's kind of shared. And I don't know if it's necessarily parks or economic development. Might be economic development or commission and parks, but just recognizing some of that parking. You know, could be additional parking for park as well.
Okay,
It's
well,
not
I mean,
exclusively,
I agree that it's something that needs to be done, but whether it is part of the parks budget or not is.
It wouldn't be solely for sure. It would primarily be nautical and economic development. But we want, you know, the Parks Board to kind of have some say into it, because it's all gonna flow and be adjacent to Bayfront Park. So there might be, as far as money, it's general general fund and.
Like I say, it really doesn't matter. It's something that needs to be done. It's just a matter of where the budget comes from as far as I'm concerned, so. But in looking at some of the things that have kind of been pending out there that I think, in my opinion, that we've put some priority on. One of them is, addressing, putting up the nice fence at Butterfly and getting that knocked off the list.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a huge project. It's not going to necessarily be cheap, but it's something that's very doable in a very short period of time and just get it off the list.
And so, now that you mentioned that, right now there's a privacy fence. And,
Yeah,
We're looking at like a nice wrought iron fence.
yeah,
well, that's what I was gonna bring up is, if we put a nice wrought iron fence, that's gonna give people the view of that channel.
right. And Jody was talking about maybe building some kind of a brick or something, retaining wall that's about knee high or maybe slightly taller.
Yeah.
But so the fence itself is not the entire thing. It's got some.
Right, because that's a beautiful view, but the people that own the property, on the inside where the channel is, and they're not the cleanest people. We'd probably have to get code enforcement down there to say, hey, you need to clean up this because there's a park right up there. Because typically they, like the one right next door, they trim their trees and they throw them right there behind the fence. And so there's a big pile of debris right there, limbs and stuff from those people, And then some of the other people, you'll see stuff, we mow behind the fence and it's like, oh my God, and so if we took that fence down, we're gonna have to make it a little better looking, even though it's a beautiful place, yeah.
Right. And the thing is, I'm not exactly sure what the situation is down there. I know that most of the people or all of the people on that
Right.
little canal have some kind of docks or piers or something.
Yeah.
Right down to the water, but I know that I guess the state owns anything that's in the mean high tide
Right, and
area, but
what happens there is, especially in the wintertime, because that's the only channel right there on that portion of the bay. And so when you get a north wind, it blows air. You got stuff coming out of the Lavaca River, limbs and stuff like that. And then you get the north wind, it blows it all right up in there. And so that whole channel it's full of debris, that nobody gets it out of there, So you got a lot of big tree limbs and stuff like that are floating in there. And every time we open that vent, the people, they're not, they don't have boats in the water right there or anything. I'm sure they do have a boat, and they'll bring it around and drop people off or something, but they don't keep a boat there,
yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure.
But right now, the privacy fence is hiding a lot of ugly stuff, not saying it can't be cleaned up.
Right. Now, some of that is generated by the property owners themselves.
Right, exactly.
And the thing is if they're more exposed,
Right.
they may be less likely to do it.
Because I know right now there's like I think it's an old part of the old causeway or something that washed up in that channel, and so somebody got it out and it's sitting there on the side, but it's going to take a backhoe to move that thing. It's like a 20-foot long, 12 by 12, and that's stuff that we could clean up, we just have, but if we do, because I think that'd be a great place to put a wrought iron fence. That way, the people can enjoy that view, but we just need to get down there and clean it up to where it looks attractive.
Okay. And moving on, One of the items that I think seems to be more of a need might be the restroom near the skate park is probably a relatively high priority in my opinion again. I do agree that doubling the size of the basketball court at George Adams is probably a relatively easy priority thing to go ahead and knock off sometime fairly soon.
And one of the things I would like to do next year, as soon as we get it, new curb and gutter and everything done, is go in there and improve the parking spaces there at George Adams with concrete.
Now, if I had a pet project, and I'm not exactly sure where it would have to be located, because I understand that the ideal place to me is right where they have that backstop area at George Adams, but that's to me one of the better places to put a splash pad, but I'm not sure that that's, it kind of kills one thing in deference to something else. So I understand that backstop area is used at certain times of the year. But I like the idea of putting a splash pad at George Adams, but it's probably down on my priority list, not necessarily for the immediate future. And that's just my take on the I guess another one that kind of jumps at me is the shade structure for the splash pad. It might be a good project at Bayfront. So.
Yeah, I think Wayne was talking about trying to also maybe add some amenities to that splash pad.
What?
Adding some amenities to it, because it's kind of, it was an older one, it's kind of a plain Jane one, but I do still think we need some shade out there too, but it might be more than just a shade, maybe add some amenities to it.
I think you mentioned last time, Jody, with respect to that pickleball idea. I know that when we had that presentation over at Nautical, they were kind of touting putting pickleball down at Bayfront. And I think y'all have come to the conclusion that Bayfront is not the place to put a pickleball court.
And so we may look at.
So Wilson was probably the place there.
I want to get some. Reach out to people that play pickleball and find out, okay, we build it, are you gonna come? Where would you like to see that sort of thing?
That's probably a good idea. But
I'd like to go to Victoria. Is there any pickleball in the whole county right now?
I don't think so. I think it's in Victoria, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do understand it's a super popular sport that's kind of, it's not something that's fading, at this.
It is loud though. God darn.
It's loud.
Yeah, pow, pow, pow. Yeah, the ball. It's not like tennis. Tennis, it just goes thunk, but boy, paddleball is, yeah, it's loud. It's louder than tennis.
Yeah, well, I understand that the ball is like one of those plastic balls with holes in it or something like that. And they'll only go so fast, but the court is a lot smaller, and I understand that it's something that older people have an easier time playing than say tennis.
Well, you don't have to chase the ball as far. You don't have to chase the ball. I played it a couple. You don't have to chase the ball as far.
Right. It's not as, there's not as much ground to have to cover. And I mean, I used to love to play squash, which is similar to racquetball, but it's the British version. And I like squash. Not a fan of racquetball. They're very similar, but I really like squash better.
Well, I take that back. There is pickleball courts in Port O'Connor.
Port O'Connor?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
My
Where at?
dad put 'em because my dad got hurt playing pickleball. It's a long story. He was playing in Port O'Connor somewhere down by the bayfront.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was private wasn't. I'll have to
Oh,
ask my dad about it.
Yeah.
Because he's played in Port Connor before.
Okay, any other things worthy of mentioning for the capital improvement?
I mean, I'll make the note, try to make a priority of this small CXT restroom near the skate park and look closer at that's a butterfly park and the improvements in Splash Pad Bay. And improvements there at George Adams Park. Okay, maybe double. That's. And we'll, our.
Oh, when is the swing set coming in at George Adams? Is that coming
Yeah.
in soon?
I got that. In fact, it should be, it had about a 6 or 8 week lead time. And I'm looking for it to either come in this week or next week. And as soon as it gets here, we'll pull that one out and we'll install the new one. And we'll be in, it's gonna be a nice swing set. Also, it's at the same time, we got 8-inch, the little borders that we put around City Park at the by Ashley Field. We put that plastic border around it. It had landscape timber. And the landscape timber rots, got order coming for that. Well, no, in fact, the border I've got coming is actually not going to be for that one because the border is still decent around that.
Yeah, no, it's still, it looks good.
Yeah, but the borders that I do have coming, they're the 8-inch border and they're going to go with the volleyball. That's what, yeah.
All right.
Get involved in that, yeah.
There, but yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah, but yeah, the swing sets, and both of those are coming from the same company. So I'm looking for those to be here within the next week or two. And that's gonna be for the volleyball court down at Lighthouse and also the volleyball court at City Park. And at that time, we're gonna have some sugar sand brought in and that way those are taken care of.
Sorry.
All righty, well, that concludes the agenda for the regular Parks Board meeting. May I have a motion that we adjourn?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion, John.
Motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next item is to have a workshop at Wilson Park, and my understanding is that we will not be able to have a quorum, so we're going to skip that agenda item. Hopefully, we might be able to do it in July. All righty, thank y'all for being here.